I spent over 10 hours last week having one-on-one conversations with artists at every single stage of growing a business. I got some killer testimonials, if I do say so myself, helped them have huge breakthroughs, and today I'm going to use that same process to help 4 more creators, completely for free, just for fun. I just like this stuff a lot. Can you tell? I'm having fun? I'm really having a lot of fun. I think this stuff is great. I think it's really great. Welcome to another episode of Business Breakthrough, the series where I roast or really just give feedback on your creative business. After reviewing legit over 100 applications for today's episode, I have selected 4 artists who are really just on the edge, like so close, to sustainable creative success. We'll be looking at published children's book authors and top teachers on Skillshare who feel stuck, and really, they just need an extra set of eyes on their work. So today, we're going to look at what they're doing wrong, how they can fix it, and most importantly, as always, what you can learn from it, how you can take these same lessons and apply them to your own creative business. Thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this episode, and let's get started. Our first artist of this episode is Paran Kim, a Korean artist living in Germany who is a published children's book illustrator. Despite having achieved the career milestone that many artists dream of, she's now facing an unexpected social media challenge. She's struggling to grow her audience of potential readers and actually loses followers with almost every post, finding that her engagement comes from fellow artists rather than her target audience of book readers and publishers. Alright, so here's Paran's Instagram. I want to take a look at this here because I have this sneaking suspicion that I already know it's wrong just by looking at this. So, okay, just straight image, process. Let's look at these reels. Okay, this reel is another process, another process, another process. Okay, yeah, so I immediately know what's wrong. I already know. There's too much process stuff. You are a very talented children's book illustrator. You create really compelling illustrations for children, but like, who are your readers, right? Your readers are these kids, of course, maybe young girls, and also their parents. You're attracting this audience of fellow artists because you're sharing the art process. You're not talking about the stories you're telling. That's an immediate quick fix, right? Let's think about content that we could create that would easily solve this problem and try to actually attract your ideal audience, because this right now, while beautiful, is not it. I am so sorry. So here's the thought, right? You have so many books under your belt. You've been doing this for a long time. Why not read the stories you're writing? Like, read these books out loud. Your audience is not going to be the kids that are reading your books, but the parents. So let's create content that talks to those parents. Maybe you talk about why you should read to your kids, what books you should read to your kids, what problems your books are solving for these kids. Like, I would really be interested in content where you partner with the authors of your books, if you can actually connect with them, and talk about these stories. Or even just as an illustrator, talk about why you gravitate to these books, like what these stories mean to you, why they are so good and effective for children, why kids should be reading these books, why their parents should be buying them for them. Like, you're just sharing the art process right now, which is fine. It's not bad to do this, but this is why you are losing followers. I already know. It's a quick fix, right? I mean, I say it's a quick fix. Really, it's restructuring your entire content strategy, which is not quick, not easy. But it's good that this is an immediate thing that I'm noticing, because it means that there is a really actionable path forward here, right? And it's not super murky. There is a clear solution. I really think that you have to pivot really hard into storytelling. You need to be making content for these parents. They're the ones that have money. They're the ones that are buying your books, right? So talk to them directly. Talk about the stories that you are telling, why these books are effective, why they should read your books to their kids, and why these stories have an impact, right? That's what I really want to see from you. Your art is gorgeous, right? I think I want to see you take the center stage a little bit more. I think I want to see you connecting with this audience If you want to attract readers, you have to tell stories. If you want to attract the audience that are going to buy your book, you have to connect with them. You have to anticipate the problems they are experiencing in their lives and understand the value your work has, right? The problem it is solving, the solution it presents. That's the core of my advice. That's kind of the really big thing that I wanted to say. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know how this goes. Let's pivot to our next artist. Sydney is a multidisciplinary artist who has technically been full-time for about 2 years. But she's living with her parents at 27 while trying to build enough stability to finally move out. Her income right now is fluctuating dramatically, anywhere from $500 to $6,000 every month, and she's really struggling with the advice to niche down, when her creative practice authentically spans multiple styles and mediums, from expressive landscape illustrations to surreal portraiture and character work. Okay, Sydney, here we are on your Instagram. I think there is a through line with your work. I think you do have a clear style, at least sometimes. And, I mean, I love this sketch. This was this past July. I think this is gorgeous. I mean, listen, right? Like, you're 27. You have a lot of time ahead of you. Let's not pigeonhole you super early, especially because you are relatively small still and getting started. Let's just see where this goes. I'm not going to tell you to niche down right away. You mentioned that won't work for you. It's gonna bore you to tears eventually. It's just not sustainable, so let's not do that. I think that what you really need is something to connect all of this together. Right now, lately, the color blue has been really useful for you to kind of bridge all of this stuff together, but it's also winter, so that's kind of natural. I do think, though, that a really more sustainable solution here is to talk more about your own personal journey and the story of what your art means to you. I have been talking so much lately about storytelling, but it's really because I think a lot of artists don't do this, and I think it's a really great way to connect with your target audience on a really deep level. Like, in the case of our previous artist, they should be talking about the stories behind their work, right? The impact their children's books can have, how they can connect with those parents that will purchase their books and read them to their children. For you, I want you to talk about your own personal story. Why are you making art? Why are you feeling inspired to do so many different things? Like, instead of having this multidisciplinary part of you be seen as a weakness by you and maybe also your audience, or just confusing, let's pivot into it. Let's talk about the fact that you are a multidisciplinary creative person and how you can't find yourself just doing one thing. Let's make this a core part of your brand. Let's talk about it. Let's tell stories about it. Let's make webcomics about it and carousel slides and Instagram reels where you do this little voiceover and you talk about your story here, because you are really talented, Sydney. You're good at this, okay? Trust me, I see a lot of art. You have what it takes, like, obviously, and I just want you to tell the story of your work and how you can make this multidisciplinary part of yourself not a weakness but a strength by pivoting further into it and making that a core part of who you are, because it already is. But you feel bad about it. Let's not feel bad about it anymore. Let's make it big, center, at the forefront. Let's make it a huge part of how you show up on the internet, because you are not the only person in this position. There are so many creatives that are just like you that also struggle with having so many interests and so many parts of themselves and having to choose to achieve success. Maybe that's not actually how it has to be. Maybe you can talk about that and share the journey of trying to find success as a multidisciplinary creative person. I think right now, what I would normally suggest is, okay, let's focus on the audience of your work. What problem does your work solve? What stories does it tell? How can you connect with people who are not just artists, who will be interested in your work? And I think right now that normal advice that I would give does not apply to you, because There's a lot of stuff going on here. So I think as such, we have to pivot. We have to connect to other artists that are in your same boat, that have the same problems that you have, and talk about those stories in your work. And maybe you will manage to connect with a large pool of creative people, some of which will be interested in purchasing your work, and share that journey with them. I think that's the big piece of advice that I would share with you here. I also just more branding notes that I have for you. Like, if you're gonna be everywhere, if you're gonna be super multidisciplinary and have a ton of stuff going on, we need some consistency. And I think really, really genuinely having doodles on the covers of your reels, having consistent visual elements in your branding is going to be so, so important, right? Because you can talk about collage stuff and embroidery and gouache landscape painting and character work and all of this stuff if you have a consistent brand and personality and story that connects everything together. Like, okay, let's look at Lynn. Lynn does a ton of stuff. She's been on the internet for forever. They're super creative. I met them in Switzerland a couple months ago. They're really, really fun and cool and interesting. I like them a lot. Look at their branding. We have really deep, strong color here, right? It's like almost over processed, but it's like we're on it, right? We have neon text, a ton of different fonts even still, but Lynn's personality grounds it all together. They are boisterous and fun and relatable and adventurous, and they go out and they try new things, and they've managed to curate an Instagram feed and a very, very popular YouTube channel that is focused on them and their wildly varied creative life. I want that for you, right? I think with your own work, I want to see more consistent visual elements. I also want to see just like slightly more professional photography and videography, if that's achievable for you. I think it's a good direction to go in. I think these skills are really, really worth developing. Just leaning hard into the multidisciplinary aspect of your creativity. If this is going to be you and who you are and how you present yourself online, let's not even think of it as a weakness. We have to make it into a strength. That is it. That is all that I have for you, Sydney. Before we continue, I do want to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video. So, here's the deal. Squarespace can be your online store, your portfolio website, and your email marketing, course hosting, membership scheduling, and invoicing platform. It can do all of that, and it can do it really well. Imagine a world where you're not paying $1 million a month for a ton of subscriptions, but just one price for all of those features, and it was hosted on your own website, branded exactly how you wanted it to be, and was perfect for you. On top of that, Squarespace's Fluid Engine system makes designing a perfect website tailored to your brand extremely easy. So, not only is your website the hub for everything you're doing online, but it's perfectly aligned with your aesthetic as a creative. It hosts your work, it has your email on it, it's incredible. I have been using Squarespace for years. It makes me tens of thousands of dollars a year on my online store, and whenever I need a sales page for an online coaching program or a 3-day live workshop that I want to promote, I use Squarespace. It is so easy to use. I love the flexibility of their drag and drop editor and the ability to further customize your site with code if you need to, and they're adding new features all the time. If you want to give Squarespace a try, you can support the channel by going to squarespace.com/Kelsey Rodriguez and using my code Kelsey Rodriguez for 10% off your first order of a website or domain. Next up, we have Shivani Patel, a top teacher on Skillshare. Shivani is a gouache artist, surface pattern designer, and, like I said, a top teacher on Skillshare, who has built a diversified creative business around her nature-inspired artwork of birds, butterflies, flowers, and wildlife. While she has found significant success on Skillshare and is developing her surface pattern design licensing work, her biggest challenge right now is growing and monetizing her YouTube channel to match the success that she has found on other platforms. Hi Shivani, here's your YouTube channel. I think Your thumbnails right now are really solid. I look at a lot of YouTube channels. I give feedback all the time. I spent 10 hours last week in meetings just giving one-on-one feedback just like this. And I really want to say your thumbnails, especially lately, very solid. But here is the big problem that I'm noticing. It's your topic. There's this concept that I talk about a lot with my students called hiding the vegetables, right? Because sometimes people that have a problem are maybe aware of the problem, or they're just aware of how the problem makes them feel. Like they haven't fully articulated the core issue yet. They don't even understand the possible solutions that are out there. They just feel bad. They're struggling in some way. Some viewers are going to just feel bad. Some of them are going to be vaguely aware of a problem, and others will be more cognizant of the solutions. But right now, you're focusing a little bit too hard on very niche topics, and I think that is holding you back. Like, for example, I have tried to make videos on email marketing. It does not work. Email marketing is super, super valuable. I personally have made tens of thousands of dollars from my email list. It is one of the best, most effective sales avenues I have ever found. But talking about it, I have tried to make this video where I have talked about email marketing for artists and it hasn't worked. It totally bombs. Genuinely, it performed really, really bad. But I know why that happened. And it's because email marketing is the solution. It's not the problem. The problem is that artists consistently struggle with their finances and selling out their shop launches and promoting their work. If you want to make this video on email marketing, you have to present it from the perspective of the problem, right? So instead of having the visual be 3 email subscribers to 3,000, let's talk about finances. I know there's going to be comments being like, you're advising Shivani to do clickbait, and clickbait is bad. Clickbait, I swear to God, is only bad if you are actively misleading the viewer, if you are making a promise in your title and your thumbnail that you do not deliver on in the video. If you present email marketing as the solution to a problem, maybe you title it, "This boring thing actually helps me make money as a small artist." Or the boring thing that helped me make $10,000. The boring thing that helped me sell out my shop launch, right? Let's talk about why email marketing is better than social media platforms, why it is more reliable. Let's present it as the solution, but do that in the video. In the packaging, talk about the problem that your viewers are facing, right? They're not solution aware yet. That's no, too advanced. I think also, when I look at your channel, Shivani, over the past 11, 12 months, you have found your footing when it comes to thumbnails. You really, really have. I think these thumbnails are much stronger than stuff like this. But it's still the topic that's holding you back, right? You need to make content that is appealing to a very large potential audience, right? So when we talk about stuff like surface pattern design and email marketing, we have to consider what Patty Galloway calls the TAM, or the total addressable market for whatever thing you are discussing. Let's go on YouTube and look up surface pattern design for beginners. Okay, we have 127K views, but that's not really surface pattern design, like professionally, it's just repeating patterns. Okay, 36K views 3 years ago, 3.2K views, 48K views, 39, 11. Okay, to me, I'm seeing that the beginner content is gonna be the biggest stuff, and there is an upper limit on content like that on YouTube. So I think if you want to make these videos on surface pattern design for beginners, getting your art onto products. You have the problem. Like, so you're so close to it in your packaging. Like, your thumbnail, my art, arrow, on products. That's cool. I like that. Your title does not set the video up for success, right? If you were my client, if I was working with you one-on-one, I'd be like, Shivani, we have to look at really successful videos on YouTube, build up a huge swipe file of all the videos that we like, all the things that actually do really well in our niche and niches far beyond ours, to find reliable formats that we can turn to time and time again to grow our channel with titles. So instead of titling this video, How I Got My First Client as a Beginner Surface Pattern Designer, I would say How I Got My First Client as an Artist. Surface Pattern Designer is, I think, too narrow of a keyword to really try and go for. So, Shivani, if I were you, I would really think about what role you want your YouTube channel to play in your business. Is this top of funnel for you? Are you really trying to teach a particular specific type of person? If so, what do you want to teach, right? I'm kind of getting mixed messages here. It's like you make classes on color theory, but then also art business and income streams, and then you have videos like email marketing and then sketchbooking and then art journey stuff and acrylic painting and watercolor versus gouache versus acrylic. And I want to understand like who your audience is. I'm getting similar to Sydney. You have a lot of balls in the air, right? You're doing a lot of juggling. I think right now you need to focus really hard on what you're doing and pick something super concrete. If you're going to teach art business, you have to really aggressively demonstrate expertise and credibility, right? I need to hear about the results that you have gotten for other people. I need to see testimonials. I need to see your resume. I need to see like why I should trust you to help me with this problem. And I think those things will help you a ton to succeed. I would really push you to think more about the problem that you want to solve, who you want to be known as, right? What thing do you want to own in the art community? What do you want your one sentence description of your work to be? I think you are a really talented artist, Shivani, but there is so much going on with your channel right now that I am not sure who you want to be, and that's making me really nervous for you. If I was one of your viewers, if I watched that email marketing video and I was interested in, okay, like now I'm convinced I want to learn more about email marketing. Shivani helped me before, maybe she can again. Let me check out her channel. And I see no other videos on email marketing, I'm a little bit confused. I want you to focus in more on one specific problem your content solves, approach that from a variety of angles, focusing again really hard on packaging your work from a perspective of the problem and not the solution. So think about how someone would describe what they're going through if they could not use the words in your title. If they could not say email marketing, if they could not say body aches or chronic pain. I think you're really close, Shivani. I really think you're close. I think that with a few months of being consistent, you will gain a lot of clarity as to what you want YouTube to be for you. I think that your work, just writ large, is really good. I like this little, like, lead magnet that you've got going on here. I think that your work in general is really nice. I love the photography that you have on your website. I love this particular visual that you have on your website. I think it's gorgeous. But right now, if I were to visit your channel, I wouldn't have a clear grasp on what I was getting if I subscribed to you, right? Don't try to be everyone everywhere. Pick one thing. The last artist of this video is Miranda Morehouse, a fine art landscape painter. Miranda creates gorgeous, dreamy landscapes inspired by the American Southwest, working in oils, who is really ready to make the leap into full-time creative work. Her biggest challenge right now is developing consistent marketing systems that can help her business scale beyond just staying afloat, turning something that's working into something that can really thrive long term. Okay, Miranda, here is your Instagram. I am super, super ready to give you feedback. I love your work, the colors that you choose, the brushwork that you have. I think this is a really, really cool and special. I really like what you're going for here. I think in general, I want to see more art direction on your profile. I want to see a better standard of quality across the board with photos that you post. I want to see more storytelling here. Like I have been saying throughout this entire episode, there is so much power to storytelling, right? Telling the story of why you love this subject matter, why you gravitate toward it. Like, show me your reference photos and how you turn the reference photo into a finished painting. Let's talk about your process. Let's talk about what happened in your life that made you want to paint this. What made you want to become an artist? I want to learn more about your story. If I am a collector, if I'm going to drop $3,000 on an original painting by Miranda Morehouse, I want to know, what am I buying? What story am I contributing to? I do like your website. I do want to say I'm not a fan of this button, and I think overall your website could be more branded. It could feel more Southwest. It could feel more dreamy. Right now, it is like slightly cookie cutter. I do like that you have an email list. I do like that's there. I kind of want that to be more at the forefront, because if you want more consistent marketing systems, an email list is the answer, right? An email list, like sending a weekly email newsletter, is really, really great. That will help you sell more of your work more consistently. I think right now I want a deeper understanding of who your audience is, who you are making art for, what stories you are telling, why you are making this art, and more about you. Storytelling can truly serve so many functions. It can help you build a closer relationship between you and your collectors. It can tell the story of why you are making the art that you are making, and who it's for, and what it means to you. And if you truly want more sales, we have to think about consistency writ large and what that means for you. Personally, I would suggest that if sales and galleries are working for you, let's double down, right? Let's focus on what's working. In terms of Instagram, if you really want a following here, we have to post things that not everyone else is posting. Photos of your work are unfortunately no longer cutting it. We have to think outside the box. We have to start posting videos. We have to do more reels. You've done a couple. Let's see. This one was 9 weeks ago. I would really, really suggest that you try and post a reel every single week. I know that it's difficult, so here's how we can make it a little bit easier. You are doing a lot more storytelling, it looks like, in these reels, and I want to see more of this in carousel posts. I want to see more of this in voiceovers writ large. I want to see this in your email newsletter. When we are trying to be consistent, a thing that can really, really help is actually just recording every single time that you're making creative work, every single time. Like, whenever I am painting or sketching or even flipping through an art book, I turn on my camera, I start recording, because over time, I build up this huge library of footage that I can easily reuse at any given moment. If you do this, you'll build up a ton of clips in your phone that you can easily reuse every single week in an Instagram reel, to be able to kind of jump on these big trends and more effectively market your work. But again, I think really storytelling is the answer here. I want you to build up that footage library. Let's take videos of the walks that you go on where you collect this inspiration. Let's take videos of your life in Santa Fe, in your studio, in your process, and put those all together to tell a story of this work. There are so many artists that have painted the American Southwest. Why is your vision different? What conversation are you entering in when you make these paintings? What feeling do you want your work to really evoke in someone else? And how can you carry out that feeling and continue it in everything else that you're doing? Humans, at our core, we love storytelling. We are so wired for storytelling. Our brains remember more things if they're attached to a story. I want that for you in your work. I think you're really talented. I really like this piece that you did with these flowers and these abstract clouds. Like, that's so special. I love the colors. But I want more of a focused attention on creating an immersive world in your content. And again, storytelling. It's so important. And that is all of the advice that I have for you, Miranda. Thank you so much for submitting. And for all of you at home, there are 2 big lessons that I want you to learn from watching this video. And number 1 is that your audience has to inform your marketing strategy. Don't just share process videos and works in progress pics unless you're truly convinced that that is what best serves your audience and will attract them. In the case of illustrated children's books, focus on attracting the parents that want your message in their home, or for whom your stories could help solve a problem. And number 2 is to not shy away from your weaknesses. Turn them into your strengths. If you are multidisciplinary and struggling with all of the advice that you're getting to niche down, think about how you could bridge all of your interests together. If you are not as technically skilled as others in your niche, consider showing the journey of your improvement over time and the lessons that you are learning along the way. That's all I have for you. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you want to be in the next episode, join my email list for a shot at that. And if you want to learn more about all of the top advice that I have for marketing for creatives, consider watching the video somewhere on the screen right now, and I hope to see you there. Bye, guys.